All right, if we could ask the folks that are having alternate conversations to please take it to the hallway. We do have the agricultural meeting that needs to begin. So everyone, we are going to go get started. So any conversations not involved in the agriculture meeting, please take to the hallway.
Yeah, but don't lurk.
Lurk?
Hey, baby.
Full.
How are you?
You're gonna stick your dog on him?
Mr. Chair, I'm ready for whenever.
Are the participants ready? Are you ready, Counselor?
Yes. Yeah, I was gonna bang the gavel for you.
Yeah. We'll call the meeting to order at 10:39. Can we have roll call?
We have Alan,
Alan, present by Zoom if allowed. Good morning.
Juby. We're here. Leonard,
Leonard here.
Sanchez, you're still here.
He just left.
Okay. Williams,
Williams here.
Roth,
Roth here. Thank you.
I'm present, and Tepes. Are you're checking out also? No, we're all right. Hey, Brian. Debbie Allen has asked permission to be remote attendance. Is there any objection? Saying none, you may attend remotely, Debbie.
Thanks so much.
And now we need a motion to approve the minutes from unanimous consent from.
I'd like to ask for unanimous consent for approval of the minutes from February 22nd, 2024.
If there's no objection, they will be so approved. Public comment? Thank God, no.
Anita's out there. She may want.
Oh, yeah. Well, anyway, we talked to our partner, Steve Arnold.
Steve Allen is a much funnier guy.
It's got a different ring.
So first of all, I distributed to each of you an invitation to a legislative meet and greet at the Kane County Farm Bureau during Touch a Tractor on Saturday, April 13th. This is the third or fourth year that we're doing this event, and we want to invite the county board, county department heads, public officials, and our legislators in just for a brief, honestly, a get together. We will have a short program on local foods, urban agriculture, and a new Illinois Farm Bureau initiative, a documentary called Fields Apart, Rooted Together. We've invited Regella Scavuzzo and Liz Replinger up to briefly address urban agriculture and local foods topics as part of that meet and greet. It is on the same day as the King County 4-H Foundation's pork chop dinner. So that we have arranged it so our public official guests can stop by the Farm Bureau for some hors d'oeuvres and drinks. And then if they are so inclined, can go next door to the King County Fairgrounds for the 4-H pork chop dinner fundraiser. And especially for our state legislators, it's a nice opportunity for them to meet rural constituents in 2 consecutive programs that are one very close to another. I'll go through some other, in addition to the invitations you have, and all or most of you should be getting this in the mail. They should be coming to your home or your business office as opposed to the county board, because we think that's a better way to make sure that everybody's seen it. I've also left up here by the Kane County Green Guides, the recycling guides, some newspaper print versions of our 2024 policy resolutions. I was a farmer before I started my work with the Farm Bureau 30 plus years ago. And one of the things, I think the thing that impressed me the most about the Farm Bureau is the way that it develops its policy and the way that it promotes its policy. you don't have to make a telephone call to somebody. You don't have to get in the back of a smoke-filled room to understand what the Farm Bureau advocates for. The policy development process is very public. And as an organization, we're willing to share that policy with anybody that wants to know. So local, state, and national issues are all in that newsprint. If anybody cares to take a copy of it with them. Other things real quickly, in the past month, first of all, I want to thank State's Attorney Jamie Mosser and Under Sheriff Amy Johnson. They participated in our 23rd annual shopping spree for local food pantries. Between the two, in an 8-minute and 20-second contest that was supposed to be 5 minutes long, they gathered $4,859 worth of groceries. The Farm Bureau purchased those groceries and they went to the Community Crisis Center in Elgin and Support Over Stigma, which is a veteran service organization in St. Charles. Our not-for-profit foundations board of directors is working right now on reviewing and judging 42 scholarship apps. We will give out up to $38,000 in scholarships when they meet to talk about those scholarship applications. They will do that early next week, and then at the legislative event, the meet and greet event at Touch a Tractor, we'll have a list of those scholarship recipients available. I do have a legislative update from the Illinois Farm Bureau. It runs about 12 pages, so I only brought one copy, but I will hand it off to my right, to Mr. Roth, and if anybody wants to take a look at it. And then Mr. Tansley may talk about this, but on March 27th, we are hosting a livestock assessment workshop for the County of Kane that Compeer Financial, and I'm not sure if there's another sponsor, but Compeer Financial is one of the sponsors of that study. So with that, I will yield the microphone.
Is there any questions of Mr. Arnold? Anita Lewis, please.
Yes, I'm on the committee, but I just want to say that this morning I renewed my Farm Bureau membership. And I know we could get it free, but for $45, you get your membership, you get money given to their conservation group on the scholarship. And for the $45, it's such a bargain. So I would encourage everybody online who's listening or people in the room, just pay the money because you get well more back than that.
I would like to train my staff to repeat that. Just pay the money. I'd like that.
You know,
I do have one follow-up comment. This is National Agriculture Week, and we are publishing on Facebook an agricultural fact every day. And your ag fact of the day is that in the last 10 years, Illinois Farm Bureaus have planted over 100,000 acres of pollinators.
Mr. Roth, please.
Roth here. I attended the shopping spree and it was exciting. It was a tight competition. Fortunately for the organization I had suggested, they won. And the comment, and you didn't make it, but Support Over Stigma, the amount of groceries, it was more than both of the competitors last year, was a statement you had made at the event. So it was a good turnout of people, and it was exciting watching them walk around very fast at the Jewel. Thank you.
So if you come to the Farm Bureau on the 13th, you will be honorary farmers because you're going to have a free lunch. It's free now because we pay for it, or Anita does. But
hey, it's worth it,
because
okay?
you
It's
go to
worth
the
it.
4-H fundraiser. These people do that to raise money to do their things rather than ask everybody else for money.
And I went in last year and it was a very good pork chop.
Pretty exciting, those young people.
Yeah,
And
it really
there's
is.
good ice. So-
And actually, I saw a lot of the people that were, you know, at the 4-H'er last year were at that event. So I would expect we'll see the same.
It's a fun time.
Yeah.
Before we move on, by accident, I opened my farm magazine, what do they call it, Partners? And one of the features, starting from seed, it's a little farm family in Burlington. They call it some clients. Really nice article about the family farm. Look at that. And if you ever want to have good produce, just stop at Clients. They have 2 places, but I'll give this to you if you want that upstairs. And maybe you could get our person who does all the information to put it online. Because it's quite an honor that they came out and interviewed them and featured their farm. Anything else? Okay, then we'll move presentations and announcements.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a mix of updates today. So I have a couple of updates related to our Growing for Kane programs, and we also have a couple of updates on some of the projects that Catherine and Sari are working on today. So they'll have a chance to talk about some of their work. So I wanted to start just by recapping the latest Growing for Kane newsletter publication. So I just wanted to note that we continue to put out this newsletter usually every month to every other month. And we did hit a pretty significant landmark as far as that goes. We had a 50% open rate, which is a pretty good readership rate for a digital newsletter. So we're happy to see that level of interest. And Blair, I don't know if you can bring up the slides. There we go. And as far as the content, we do try to continue to promote primarily funding opportunities as well as training and technical assistance opportunities for farmers in the county. So we did recently promote the State of Illinois Department of Agriculture's Food Systems Infrastructure Grant Program. This closed last week, but we made a pretty significant push to promote this to our farmers. And so there's an equipment version that would fund machinery and equipment purchases up to $100,000 with no match. And then there was a larger infrastructure grant that would cover expenses up to, I believe, $3 million, but there was a cost sharing requirement for that. We did also want to promote a new insurance program that's being offered by USDA. It's an expanded insurance coverage option for nursery growers. So this was offered, I believe, in a couple of states, and now it's expanded nationwide. And it does offer some increased coverage options. I won't get into the details, but there's a little bit more benefits for nursery growers that are eligible. And then lastly, we wanted to promote the training, one of many trainings that U of I Extension offers on a continuing basis. This one is for forming an LLC. So talking about the benefits to farmers of forming an LLC and how that can defray some of the risks to their businesses and just some of the advantages inherent in that. And as moving on to the livestock market assessment, as Steve mentioned, we do have the workshop coming up next Wednesday. So we've been working to invite livestock operators in Kane County. So we're going to be showcasing and sharing the results and findings to date of the livestock market assessment that our consultant team has been working on. So in addition to all of the data that's been collected, both from from national sources like the Ag Census, and also collecting primary data from farmers, food processors, and other food buyers that are part of the food system, the livestock food system. They have generated a series of goals and recommended actions that the county could take as potential next steps. So really the focus of this is going to be to share those actions and goals and get some immediate feedback from these livestock operators, because we want to get a sense of what should be prioritized, and if there are any anything that we've overlooked that we haven't taken into consideration in designing these recommendations. So I'm just going to go through these in summary. So these recommendations fall into 3 different goal categories. That includes value chain misalignment, developing a skilled workforce, and supporting farm and processor growth. So these are goal areas that were based on the challenges and the issues that were affecting the livestock sector. So this is based on all the findings that have been gathered to date. So looking at the first goal, we've seen that there have been communications challenges between livestock producers and processors. There have been issues with there being with farmers knowing where there is availability to find processing services. So there are some websites, companies that do publish that information, but there's really no single source of information. So one of the recommendations is to look at this idea of creating a standardized directory or a clearinghouse where that information could be found in one place. There was also an issue seen with the mismatch of when farmers need processing services based on when processors have capacity. So one of the recommendations could be providing assistance to processors to help them understand what they could be doing during kind of the low season periods, other business activities that they could kind of incorporate into their businesses. And then on the other side, helping farmers see how they might be able to adjust their operations to capitalize on some of the low season demands for processing services to get in there more easily. This is kind of along the similar lines, continuing the value chain misalignment. So it's not always clear what types of services are available. Packaging was an important service that a lot of farmers are willing to travel pretty far out of their way to find the packaging and labeling services that best meet their needs. So there could be some things that could be done to help processors add those services if they're not currently offered, and potentially creating more local opportunities for farmers that are driving long distances for them. Looking at the second goal, we really saw a lot of challenges in the meat processing sector during the pandemic. This was a sector that got hit hardest among many sectors that were impacted very significantly. And it's been a challenge for that sector to recover. So there has been a lot of turnover in the workforce. And so part of the recommendations are to look at ways to build some supports around building up that processor workforce. And that could include working with local educational institutions, community colleges, and then also just developing better lines of communication between the organizations that train processors and the processing companies that are hiring these workers, to make sure that the training provided meets the demands of those processing companies. And then generally too, just looking at issues related to retention and turnover as well. So, and then the last goal is focused on production and looking, part of it is looking at the program activities that the county is involved in currently, vis-a-vis the Farmland Protection Program, and looking at ways that this program can be leveraged as an opportunity for livestock farmers specifically. So this is something that we could look at from a policy and a program standpoint, and also promoting other programs, partner programs like the Conservation Farms Working Farms Program, which is similar to the county's conservation easement program, but it's more of a lease to own program, but also paired with conservation easements. So there could be ways to kind of look at these programs and more carefully tailor them to the needs of livestock operators. And then lastly, looking at supporting the expansion, potentially the expansion of meat processing businesses that operate in the county. And then we do have a few more, or one more. And then the last one is kind of a marketing concept where, potentially working with the Farm Bureau and using some of the tools that we have through Growing for Kane, to continue to promote the livestock sector as a sector where people can buy their meat products, and just kind of supporting a marketing and branding campaign around that. And so I would be happy to take any, comments on these. I mean, this is still kind of an open discussion period where these are going to be amended and adjusted as they need to be. And certainly we're going to be considering the feedback from the farmers that will be attending the livestock workshop. So there's going to be a process to fine tune these a bit more. So I want to make sure that, the committee has the opportunity to share any comments or any input if they see fit, or, feel free to send that to me separately as well. So just want to communicate that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Bates, please.
Yeah,
Hi,
absolutely.
are we supporting meat CSAs? Do we have any of those? I used to be in one, but then I stopped. But for many years, I was buying directly from the farmer. Are we doing anything like that?
I know that most of the CSAs are specialty crop. I know that we do have I shouldn't say many, but some of our livestock farmers are using other direct sale methods for their livestock products, either on farm market sales that have, obviously refrigeration is an important necessity for that. And some sale to some retail outlets. I'm not sure if there are many CSA programs that incorporate livestock, not because there's necessarily an interest, but just because the, kind of the health and food safety conditions don't make it an ideal way to move that product to consumers.
Okay, our farmer would bring us a big bag, like a 20-pound bag of frozen meat, and we would meet in a parking lot, actually it was a chiropractor's parking lot in Batavia. It might help our farmers to know more about that. We paid, about $100 a month to be in it.
You did
So-
it, didn't you? For vegetables. Yeah.
Okay, it might be
Oh, and
helpful
for
to our
vegetables.
farmers. Yeah,
Yeah,
ours was
no,
for
I'd be
meat.
happy to look and see if there are resources around, supporting farmers that are looking to do sales through a CSA program. There could be
Mhm.
resources out there. I'd be happy to look at it.
Okay, thanks. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you. And then I do have a few more, if there are no more questions or comments on that, I do have a few more updates as well. Okay, I'll move on. I did want to share a couple of quick updates on the Farm Bill. I know there was some interest in this, so I just wanted to share a status report on this. You might recall that back in November of last year, there was a continuing resolution and it extended the current Farm Bill, which was the 2018 Farm Bill, out to the end of September of this year. So that's kind of the current state of where the existing Farm Bill is. So it just extended all of the programs that have been approved through that timeframe. Now, there have been some ongoing discussions related to some additional funding that was provided through the Inflation Reduction Act. Janice has talked a bit about this previously, but the Inflation Reduction Act provided a pretty significant infusion of funding into several of the Farm Bill's conservation programs. So it provided $17 billion and it was divvied up into the EQIP, the CSP, the RCPP programs. And right now there's some discussion about kind of adjusting the time frame around how that funding could be used. So currently that funding has to be used under the legislation by September 30th of 2031. And there is some discussion around, instead of using it within that time frame, spreading it out in a different way. And so the idea would instead be to permanently increase the annual allocation for these conservation fund programs. So increasing the annual allocation by about $1.8 billion, and that would be a permanent increase as opposed to a temporary increase. So this is just something that's been discussed. I haven't really seen, which way or another this is going to go, but that's just an interesting possibility that could play out. I don't know if anybody attended the last Jobs Committee meeting. I know that that Chris Toth and Mark are working with IMAC. IMAC is the Illinois Manufacturing Excellence Center, and they're promoting a new program funded by the ARPA dollars allocated to the county to support a manufacturing grant program. And many of these, it is primarily intended for, industrial operations, heavy processing operations, but there could be some agricultural activities that could benefit from the services provided by IMAC and potentially the grant program that they're partnering with the county on. So we did want to call some attention to this. They do provide a number of services that could be generally applicable to a wide range of manufacturing businesses. But the key requirement would that it would have to be, the business would have to be involved in some sort of value added or processing function in order to qualify. And I won't go too far into the details of the grant program, but there are some specific requirements in terms of the NAICS code, the NAICS code, that a company has to be eligible for. They have to fit it within the categories defined by the NAICS codes, and that's 31 through 33. So I did look at those, and it does include some like food processing, food manufacturing type companies. So there is a connection to agriculture there, but it might not necessarily apply broadly to farmers and crop producers that aren't really engaged in value added work. But we did want to call some attention to it.
Anita Lewis, please.
Yeah. So thank you for bringing that up. And I think we would love to have somebody from ag get one of these first 20. I think there's 17 of them that have already been kind of like allocated, but since ag is so important to us, and there is a lot of broad categories in there under this, especially the 33 that kind of goes to ag. So if you know of any, I'll help you get the word out to them, because I think that would be so cool.
Yeah, I mean, we have a mix of contacts. I mean, we try to promote. We can promote this broadly, and I know this has been through, I believe that Kane County Connects has been
Yeah.
featuring this. But yeah, we'll do, what we can to get the word out on this program. And along the same lines, there is another ongoing contest. This is sponsored by the Illinois Manufacturers Association. They're calling it Maker's Madness, a clever take on March Madness.
And
And
booze? Maker's Mark?
it's that's Maker's Madness, and it's a contest to recognize manufacturers in the state of Illinois, and there were a few from Kane County that made it to the second round of the competition, but the voting is still open through this Sunday, so people have the opportunity to vote on the company of their choice. They just have to go to the website and they can place their votes.
We get to vote?
I think anybody can
So
vote.
what's the website we go to? Oh. You won't tell me.
And
Security
Catherine
center. I'll be
Catherine did
deported.
put together a map of all of the businesses in the county. So I'll let her just highlight this map that she made.
Hi. So the first round had 200 plus businesses and 19 of them made it through that first round, which are designated with the little pins. And then now we're in the Sweet 16 round and 4 of those businesses made it to the Sweet 16 round, which that's the voting that's happening right now. And those are circled in red. So yeah, you should go vote through Sunday for our Kane County businesses that are represented here.
We go on that website that,
It was on the last slide. I think it was makersmadnessil.com. Or if you just Google Makers Madness Illinois, it should come up right at the top and it's very easy to vote. You can
look
vote.
at the local businesses. I mean, we have one in South Elgin, Hoffer Plastics, Weber Grill, Auto Engineering. Wow.
Yeah, I believe there were over 200 in the initial round, and now it's down to 16, but there are still some in Kane County that are in the running. And one of those includes Jindo's Spice of Life. And we wanted to point them out because they source a lot of their product from Kane County farms. I mean, you can see
Klein's?
that they draw from Klein's, from Mighty Greens, Muirhead Farm, Garlic Breath, Two Beekeepers, and Wasco Nursery. So they're really a model business in terms of sourcing local product for their inputs. So so we're happy to see that partnership. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Catherine to talk a little bit more about what she's been working on.
I know at the last meeting, you guys wanted some more background on us, so we're here to provide that. I graduated from the University of Iowa in May 2023, where I studied geography on an environmental studies track, as well as art as a double major where I focused on photography and like graphic design related things there. And I grew up in Naperville, so around the area. I love DuPage County and Kane County. I'm learning to love more, a lot more. And yeah, that's just some of my background. And now getting into what I've been working on, one of my main tasks has been updating the zoning maps. We have a little bit of a backlog of the zoning petitions that haven't been updated on our map and through CaneCAD, which is this software here. So I've been working through going on those to making sure everything's up to date so we can print a new countywide zoning map there. And then I've also just been doing some various projects to help our department understand visually what's going on in the county. So here's a map I created of solar projects in unincorporated Kane County. And I got this data from our zoning department. And it's a little hard to see up on the big screen, but the different colors represent different statuses of like where the projects are. So the dark green are approved and built. The orange are approved, but not yet built. Blue are denied, the lighter green is expired, the lime green is pending, and pink are withdrawn. So I know solar has been kind of a hot topic, so we wanted to be able to represent this spatially. And then I've been doing a lot of work with Janice and Sarah E. in the farmland protection programs there that they work with. And this was also taken from data that Water Resources provided to me about flooding and how flooding could protect our different groups that are involved, and yeah, just the risk that is provided there. And the gray is what the USDA has designated as urban, and the uncovered areas are designated as rural. So that helps us determine what programs that some of these landowners are able to apply for. And I will pass it over to Sarah. Yeah.
Mr. Roth?
Roth here. Regarding the solar map you brought up, one of the things that came up in the development meeting, because I had been requesting this, was and I may not pronounce it right, the LISA score, which is rating and they had Mark submitted that on Tuesday. It wasn't for solar.
Yeah.
But could we have that map which would show the LISA score for all the solar farms? Because I had raised that question months ago, because there was a thought going around that we were only putting solar on poor farmland. And I said, I don't think so, because we're not even asking. Mark said at the development meeting, we are now starting to document. If we could get of all our solar farms, that score. And then a question, and I don't need an answer now, offline. Have we graded all our farms or only when certain things come up? Because I would like to see over time, where's our good farmlands? Those are the ones we want to prioritize that we save. And a
Yes.
picture's worth 1,000 words.
Yes. And that's a good point about the LISA score. I will.
And then I have a question on how it's calculated. We'll take that offline. And who do I need to talk to and whatever.
Soil and
Thank you.
Water does that Lisa thing. And
Okay.
your people want to take over the board because they don't want stuff in Sugar Grove.
Those darn Sugar Grove people. He was pointing to one.
Lisa scores according to buildings too.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to say well done, first of all.
Thank you.
And did you go to Central or North?
Naperville Central.
Me too.
Oh, nice.
Relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a Red Hawk. She is a Jayhawk.
I'm a Red Hawk.
I was a
Oh,
Redskin.
Oh, yes.
Redskin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry. Hey,
Oh,
politically incorrect.
They did.
is that politically
Moniker.
correct?
Huh? It's dating how old I
See
am,
if
I
it
guess.
vetted, see if it's all right.
Yeah.
They took the chief away from us. Right?
Well, they took, I was Illinois for.
Now we're gonna talk about protection.
Yeah, shall we continue? Good morning to the BESS committee. I'm definitely not biased as the Farmland Preservation Administrator. But a little bit history about me. I actually went to the University of Illinois, graduated in 2016. And I went into a nonprofit called Global Communities, where I did a lot of community and economic development for low income communities. It was very awesome, hard work. But definitely it was not for me. Took a little bit of time, and I volunteered for some environmental groups back at home, which I am from the Quad Cities. It's about 2 hours away from here. And then eventually landed in a small town called Denison, Iowa, where I worked for the Natural Resource Conservation Service. I was the Farm Bill specialist, so I definitely did my part of my job was not to go onto the field. However, because it was a huge passion for me, I definitely took the time to go out to the field and learned everything that I could as much as like a soil con would do. And then here I am. Thankfully, Kane County took me in with my experience. And it has been a very awesome almost 2 months that I've been working for Kane County. Absolutely love the area. There was one thing that I was a little sad that I felt like I would not be able to be in the country. And this is the perfect area where I can still be in the country and close to the city, yet close to my family as well. And so the Farmland Protection Program was actually created when I was in elementary school. So it has come a long way. Janice Hill has done a very awesome job. She's very talented, and I definitely have really big shoes to fill. So we actually did present this to the 4-H program students when they came here for the government day. and talked a little bit about why and how it's important to preserve the land. So very much like us, how we have to be healthy, we also have to make the land healthy. And as one of the committee board members mentioned, we definitely want to keep the best ag land here in Kane County. So that's where I'm going to come in and do a lot of the soil health and water quality. It's very important because it obviously provides a lot of biodiversity. We have a lot of native species around here, such as also with foxes and the monarchs. I know there's a decline in that, but they actually migrate from Mexico, where my parents are from. So I think it's really awesome that they come and migrate all the way here to Illinois. And then just working with the farmers. There was this meeting that we had last week with a farmer who was interested in an easement. But before we wanted to tell them about the program, we asked them to tell us a little bit about their history and why they're interested in the program. It was a very great meeting because we also invited other organizations such as the Natural Resource Conservation Service and the Soil Water District. And essentially we learned a lot about that farm. It's one of the last standing farms in Batavia as Batavia continues to grow with new development. And we should have invited a lot more people such as Julia with the historic, because it was awesome to hear about the history. It started with their grandpa in World War II, and they really want to protect that farm as much as possible. So we gave them the options. The Natural Resource Conservation Service, gave them their options as well. And they are really looking into providing the best quality soil and as well as water quality for that farm before even considering putting it into an easement program. So it has evolved a lot. And I think it's a great approach that we gather all these organizations to the very first meeting with the farmers. And even just yesterday, we were able to go to visit the rustic farm, which was awesome. We got to eat some of their local grown foods right off the ground. He invited us just to pick it from the ground, and you could definitely tell the difference when you really put in the work. And so to continue on right now, Kane County has about 6,000 acres protected. There's 1,000 acres in process, and we do have a lot of other farms who are interested in the easement program who are currently in a waiting list. With that, I will take questions.
I have a question.
Oh, good.
Very, very interesting. One thing I've said before, and I'll say it again, I'd really like to see preserved acres going a little bit east out of Mr. Leonard's district into my district in Blackberry Township. So if you could work on that, I'd appreciate it.
Reduce the value of your land.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll work on
You
that.
want to do your front yard so you don't have to mow it?
I used to have corn in my front yard, Mr. Kenyon, so yeah.
Mr. Roth, I know
I was
you
just
have
going
a
to say,
question.
good presentation. No, I don't have any
Thank you.
questions. Thank you.
Mr. Leonard?
Mr.
Nope, not just very nicely done by both of you.
Thank you.
Ladies.
Mr. Chairman, Allen,
Oh, Miss Allen, thank you.
good morning again. Just in response to one of Mr. Roth's comments, that our farmland protection program, a farm is evaluated for its soil quality before it's allowed into the program. So the protected farmland is already some of the best in the world, I believe. Maybe Sarah could confirm that for us. And I also wanted to say thanks so much for the solar farm map. A number of the people who have come to comment to the county board have talked about how they feel like they're surrounded by solar farms, and sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it's not. But it's, as you say, it's really helpful to be able to see it. So thanks for, Catherine, thank you for putting that together. It's that will be a real valuable resource for us and to try and keep track of what we're doing and where we're doing it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I did have,
Mr. Roth?
could we get emailed this presentation, please? I would recommend you email it to the entire board, of course.
It'd be nice to have this map on display here. So people, it's unbelievable. You can walk around and people don't know what's going on. I know you're shocked.
All three of those maps.
We could have what's going on and what we're trying to save. It can't all be asphalt and concrete, I hope. Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, Allen again?
All
I
right,
know
Ms. Allen, this
I'm-
is your second one.
I'm drawing out your meeting and I didn't even come in person. I know. I wanted to also mention to Mr. Roth that there was a strategy in trying to keep the protected farms somewhat close together in that they would have the support of knowing that each other were there and that we would be able to take our most valuable farmland and kind of, kind of center in on it and say, this is an area where it should be protected and we have the tools to protect it. But to your point, I think if we expand it out some more, as we have the money to do so, that's an equally worthy thing. There are some other protected farms that are not in that Big Rock Virgil area, and for all the right reasons. So to keep going in that is certainly worthwhile. Thanks for letting me talk, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Roth, this is your third time.
Yeah, I know. I'm troublemaker.
To start charging.
Janice had reported probably 6 months ago, it was we're starting to get protected up in Virgil Township, I believe.
That's
is
not
good.
prime farm ground, I'll
Oh,
tell
no,
you.
okay. But
It's flat
we don't like
and
flat.
there's nobody lives in Virgil, so what?
Yeah,
You were from there, you moved. Yeah,
Proved his point.
you moved to Aurora where all the action is.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions of our staff? Mr. Shepro.
But I was just curious the other day if there are statistics about the amount of dollar value of food that the average household throws away every year.
Oh my God, I think they do that, yeah.
I'm sure that there probably are estimates available. I know that there's I know that Seven Generations Ahead, it's a Chicago-based organization. They do a lot of work around food waste recapture. I'd be curious to see if they have
Bring
any
that back to the next
any
meeting.
data. Yeah,
yeah.
I'll see if there's anything
Feel like that
out there.
number is
It's a good question.
shockingly high.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Chairman, may I speak?
Was this Ms. Bates?
Yes, it is. Bates speaking. I thought flat was
Go-
good.
Go
I
ahead,
thought
man.
I thought flat was good.
We didn't understand you.
Why is flat farmland not prime farmland? Flat.
Not very good out there either. Drainage is hard when it's flat.
Too
If it's
flat.
flat, the
Okay,
water sits just like in your parking lots.
too flat. Okay, thank you very much. I'm the city girl.
Then you have to
Thanks.
tile it.
Okay. I understand that. Okay, thank you.
See, this is more educational than anything else. All right. All right, and don't forget to go to Touch a Tractor and become the guest of the Farm Bureau at the pork chop dinner. It's a great experience. Plus, it's
Say
a
that
free
date
meal.
again.
Any other questions or comments? No new business? Motion to place reports on file, Mr. Leonard.
Unanimous motion to place the reports on file.
Okay, so it be it. There's no executive session. Who would like to adjourn?
Roth will make the motion. We adjourn.
Roth moves to adjourn. Okay. All in favor?